Hey, and welcome to another Metro After Hours Spotlight.
Bum-ba-dum.
Tonight, Batman: The Killing Joke. This is one of the most classic Batman stories that has come out of the last...
Since the character's inception, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
It's written by Alan Moore, with art by Brian Bolland. Brian Bolland, in my opinion, is the definitive Joker artist.
Oh, he's amazing.
Nobody draws the Joker better. And quite frankly, in terms of writing the Joker, nobody does it better than Alan Moore.
Alan Moore is just kind of one of those writers that he's without peer. He really is. He's got a very interesting take on every character that he writes, and he makes him seem very real.
Well, in the case of The Killing Joke, what I find most fascinating about how Alan Moore wrote it is that he knew there was an established origin for the Joker. The book takes place in current continuity, current as of 1988,
right,
with flashbacks to the Joker's origin. Joker's origin had already been established in a 1953 issue of Detective Comics, which is the whole Red Hood and he fell into a vat of acid thing. This expands on it and makes Jack Napier, if you will. That's not his official name, but I like Tim Burton's name.
Yeah.
Jack Napier is the Red Hood and gets dunked into the acid, but it expands on his mythology and makes him a failed, sad comedian / family man before the accident happens, and he gets roped into this robbery of Ace Chemicals where he encounters Batman. Batman scares the crap out of him. He falls into the vat of acid, and he goes nuts.
Right.
Suffice to say, this is the Batman story that inspired 2 generations of Batman films.
Right.
The origin of the Joker was adapted pretty much verbatim in the 1989 Tim Burton film, and the thematic qualities of The Killing Joke, the yin to Batman's yang, and even the scene of the police room interrogation comes from The Killing Joke, and that was used in The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan. So, just from that alone, you can tell that this is a keynote Batman book that you absolutely have to read. If you haven't read it, I don't know what you're doing here watching this, and get on down over here and buy this copy.
Yeah, it actually has some pretty crucial elements introduced here. This is this tells the story of I'm not going to be spoiling anything here. Everybody kind of knows that Barbara Gordon is Oracle in the current continuity of DC Comics. But before that, she was Batgirl. And so she was the original Batgirl. She's the daughter of Commissioner Gordon. And in this story, the Joker shoots her, and the bullet hits her spine, and she's paralyzed, and that's the beginning of Oracle, actually, too. And
it was very bold, very controversial at the time.
Very much so. I remember the outrage of fans. Oh God! I mean, people were just up in arms about it.
It was a bad year for Batman fans. If you really think about it. It's like, we were a year away from the Tim Burton film, which was superb. Yes. But 1988 was like a hard year for Batman fans, because not only did Barbara get crippled, that was the year fans voted Jason Todd dead.
Right.
In Death in the Family.
Yeah, Batman had a rough time that year.
He had a really rough year.
Yeah. But there's no wonder he's kind of freaky.
Part of the other thing is the Dark Knight also borrowed from this book the idea of the Joker deciding to cause anarchy to unravel the minds of one of Gotham's most important people.
Right.
Except instead of Harvey Dent, as it was in The Dark Knight, in this book it's Commissioner Gordon. He kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and puts him in situations of grisly mental torture. Definitely not a book
also
for kids.
Also humiliating, and yes, very... Oh my God, there were big sexual overtones or undertones to the whole torture
it's very sadomasochistic.
And it very much so. So definitely, this is not a book that you leave laying out on the coffee table for the kids to get a hold of. There are some very disturbing images in here. Brian Bolland is a spectacular artist. One of the things that I've said recently, and that I continue to say, is that when you have a story that's just a regular story that doesn't involve superheroes, a competent artist is fine. But when you have a superhero story, if you get a spectacular artist and one that's right for the tone of the hero or the villain or the story itself, then you have a marriage made in heaven, and in superhero heaven, I guess. Yeah. So Valhalla or something, I don't know. But yeah, and that's the case here, definitely. I don't think that enough could be said about Brian Bolland's
Or Alan Moore's writing.
Yeah, very precise and very stylish artwork in this book. It is a very different kind of style from things like The Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One, which are other very important Batman stories. But the very realistic artwork here really
it's
played.
very realized, very detailed.
Yeah,
You know,
it really played
from-
off of Alan Moore's script in a way that is very disturbing, and it was.
Yeah, aside from like the shape of the Joker's head, which is completely unrealistic.
Yeah, it's weird, but
you know, his details and everything are just dead on. He is
it's
just
amazing.
An artist with an eye for minutia.
Yeah, definitely. Tons of detail. Lots of. This is one of those books that I've read hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
So it really
gets better every
stands
time
up.
you read
Yeah,
it.
it really stands up to rereading. And what's interesting about it is that you do pick out more details later on as you look at it more often. So
I want to spotlight my favorite moment of the book real quick. It's basically at the very, very end when Batman and the Joker finally have their final outs. He's managed to stop the Joker, and he just asks him, "Why have you done this? Why do you do what you do?" And the Joker has no response, and instead he just tells Batman a joke, and he's not trying to trick him to get away or anything. He just tells him a joke, and it's one of the most human moments I've ever seen out of Batman or the Joker, because Joker tells the joke, and it's a great joke, and Batman starts laughing, and the last panel of the book is them laughing together as the police cars pull up. And if that's just not surreal and weird enough to get you interested in the book, you might need to check your pulse.
it is surreal and weird. And where is it?
It's right here.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, you see the sequence here where Batman actually smiles and then
We should
he
have some
starts
B-roll
laughing.
footage of this.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
But,
so yeah, that's my favorite moment of the book. It's just absolutely spectacular from beginning to end, and I believe it also includes another Batman story that Brian Bolland did the works on.
Penguin.
Yeah,
story.
that involves Penguin.
Right.
So and especially at $17.99. That's
This
a
is a
steal for this book.
hardcover with a dust jacket.
Mm-hmm.
So at $17.99, this is a classic story that really should be part of any serious
any
or
comic
even,
book library.
even a casual fan's comic library. Yeah, I think so. This is one of those stories that it's just indelible. It stays with you forever. You never forget it. Even if you never were to look at it again, you'd still have crystal clear memories of certain sequences in this book because they are that lingering.
Yeah.
So
the Joker believes that everybody has a bad day, but I can tell you this: you won't have a bad day when you read Batman: The Killing Joke.
no, that's absolutely right.
This is Metropolis Spotlight. We'll see you guys later with another classic book spotlighted.